Over.
Namo Vitragai.
Namo Vitragai.
Namo Arihantanam.
Namo Arihantanam.
Namo Siddhanam.
Namo Siddhanam.
Namo Ayariyanam.
Namo Ayariyanam.
Namo Vajjayanam.
Namo Vajjayanam.
Namo Loe Savva Sahunam.
Namo Loe Savva Sahunam.
Aso Panchana Mukkaro.
Aiso Panchana Mukkaro.
Savva Pavappanasano.
Savva Pavappanasano.
Mangalanam Cha Savvesim.
Mangalanam Cha Savvesim.
Padamam Havai Mangalam.
Padvam Havai Mangalam.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand.
Hey, Sachidanand. Everybody, welcome to the English Satsang. And while people, Mahatmas, are thinking, I have a question, Deepakanandji. We are in 9 days of pious days. So it's called Navratri. So please tell us the significance of Navratri and what Aradhana we should be doing.
Very good. See, first of all, this Navratri means 9 nights. At the end of the hard spiritual cleansing, what you do in these 9 days, the 10th day come as Vijaya Dashmi, there is victory, and we celebrate that victory. And this Navratri during the year, it comes 4 times. Typically, it comes in the junction between 2 seasons. So it's like you are preparing yourself for the next season. So that is the basic thing. And during this 9 days, we worship and do spiritual, how would you say that, cleansing art during these 9 days by worshipping the 9 different forms of Durga Mata. Now, Ma Durga is a goddess of perfection, normality, as it is said, Sahajta. When we are not normal, we are not healthy, we are not happy. So for us to be normal, healthy, and happy, we worship Goddess Durga in these different forms. The first night is identified as the form is called Shaila Putri. It means daughter of the mountains. Now, mountain as such is part of the nature, and indirectly it reveals that we are also part of the nature. Our mind, speech, body assembly, that is our body self, human body, is also part of the nature. And when we understand that, then there are certain things which we are supposed to do, in the sense that this Shailputri as manifestation of Goddess Durga it's depicted by she's holding Trishul, that is three-dent weapon in her hand, and a lotus in the other hand, and she's supposed to ride on a bull, which is called Nandiji. And this is one of the form of Parvati ji. It is understood as she was born as daughter of Himalayas, and that's why she's called as Shailaputri. And the goal is that in the worldly life, we come across mental, physical, and outside suffering, and how with right understanding, like a lotus, we can remain totally separate from these three forms of suffering with right worship, what it means by right understanding. So this is about Shailaputri. The second day is supposed to be we worship the second form called Brahmacharini. Now Brahmacharini, Brahma means soul, and Charini means one who moves around the soul. It will say not really moves around the soul, it's like lives as soul. And due to this, it is depicted by goddess Brahmacharini as walking barefoot with Rudraksh mala. So it is a sign of worship that she is worshipping Shiva, the Lord, in one hand, and a sacred vessel called Kamandala in the other. And this is the meditative form of goddess, which symbolizes goddess Parvati, that she is in deep meditation to please and invoke Lord Shiva. The third day is the goddess form is called Chandra Kanta Mataji, and she is depicted by fierce 10-armed goddess with a crescent moon on her forehead, and the third eye called the eye of wisdom or the eye of Shiva open. She is shown as riding on a tiger to destroy all evils and wicked. Now, these evils and wicked is not outside, but these evils and wickedness is within us that causes problem outside. So with this, all 10 different weapons are shown in our hands. So this is how we worship. What it means, our mind, speech, body self is nothing but power or Shakti, and Shiva is the divine light of God. Shiva cannot be complete without Parvati, without Prakriti, without mind, speech, and body. That is why the feeling of completion or feeling of completeness, perfection is experienced in the body where this Prakriti, our mind, speech, body becomes perfect, normal, healthy, and it fights away all the weaknesses. And that's why it is called Chandra Kanta. Now, Chandra is the depiction that she has known herself who she is, or one who has known himself who he is. So that's how, with the weapon of the 5 agnas, what we have got through Dada Bhagwan, following obediently, we will reach this perfection. The fourth one is identified as the form is called Kushmanda. Kushmanda. Now, it is like, it is said that it is made from three words like little, warmth, and egg. So actually, it is like, means that she is creator of the universe. So with the focus on Lord Shiva, when we are following, we are being totally obedient to Lord Shiva, then we create universe such that everyone is happy, including ourselves. So like how Dada Bhagwan has given the 9 projections, 9 diamonds, code of conduct, and the prayer to the pure soul, and all the other prayers what he has given as worship, it is not ritual, but it is our inner feeling, inner decision that that's what we want to do. And that's how we create universe for ourselves that is perfect, where everyone is happy. Then the fifth one is Skandamata. The form is worshipped on the 5th day, and she's said to be a deity of with 4 arms. It is depiction, but what it really means is she is carrying her child, Kartikeya. So it is like now we can understand that after marriage, after her marriage with Shiva, what that form or the kid that is born out of knowledge, being connected with Shiva, is Kartikeya. So now Kartikeya is a very powerful kid. He's totally devoted to Lord Shiva and Parvati, and it's very powerful. He fights all the wicked and all the evils. So we can understand that how through depiction of such human indication that they have given us a wonderful worship so that we become perfect. Then for the 6th day, the form is we worship Katyayani. These are depicted in Shiva Puran over a large scale of life form. So here she is like becomes daughter of Katyayan. Katyayan is a sage, and it is a form of Shakti. It is also called as warrior goddess. So basically, we have to learn to fight our weaknesses. Where, as Dada Bhagwan has said, we are wholly and solely responsible for ourselves, no one else. So with this understanding and this worship, we fight our weaknesses and we become perfect. So it is said that if you want to reach Lord Shiva, your inner self, then you have to surpass all your weaknesses and reach the center which is there within you only. It is not outside. But these different forms, as you free yourself from your weaknesses, that's how you become perfect, and your inner strength will drive away all your weaknesses. The 7th one is Kal Ratri, and it is said that she is of a dark color, and she embraces this dark complexion to fight the demons. Now the demons are not outside, demons are inside, and with these, and in all these different forms, she is shown to carry different weapons. But we must understand that all these different weapons truly means that it is it helps to fight your weaknesses. That is the idea. not physical weapons, but this is what it means. So Kalratri means you fight away the darkness from within you, and the sunrise brings prosperity, peace and happiness, bliss to all. The eighth one is Maha Gauri. It is also called Durga Ashtami and dedicated to goddess Maha Gauri. And she rides on a bull or an elephant. Again, so we can say that she is shown to carry Damru sound. Now, we have to fight our weakness. So we have to learn to deal with ourselves. So this is where, like how Dada Bhagwan is shown, go and talk to yourself by talking yourself in front of the mirror. Even if you have to scold yourself, do it. So this is what it is. We have to fight our weaknesses, and that's how we become perfect. The last one, ninth day, is the final day, and it is the form of Siddhi Datri. What does it mean? The bestower of the infinite that can never be taken away from us. This is here where our Prakriti, mind, speech, body assembly, our relative self becomes 100% perfect, 100% perfect. So it is depicted by the goddess who is four-armed and sitting on a lotus. Now, sitting on a lotus, we can understand that total experience of separation is that, and different weapons are also shown that she's carrying, and it is the indication or depiction of total perfection. So this is how when we cross this, our own weaknesses, fight our weaknesses with such worship. Now, worshipping truly, what Dada has very nicely said, that we become perceiver of our weaknesses, and when the third eye of wisdom opens, we start seeing our own mistakes. So gradually, we learn to fight our own weaknesses, and that's how we become perfect. And when that happens, then that is the finality. It is said, with the grace of Dada Bhagwan, we get self-realization, and through the following of the five agnas, our relative self become perfect. And that's how we end up. And Dada has given this connection, our connection with Lord Simandar Swami Bhagwan, because without that, you cannot become perfect unless you see that perfection with your naked eyes. And that is a path what Dada has shown us through worshipping Lord Simandar Swami and establishing a great connection, keeping in witness Dada Bhagwan, because we cannot connect ourselves directly. It is only through the medium of Dada Bhagwan, because he has direct connectivity. And by keeping him as witness, we are connecting ourselves, and that's how we will have our final darshan, divine sight of Sri Simandar Swami, where all our the last wheels of ignorance, we can say, not really ignorance, but obstacles or layers of knowledge that is blocking our knowledge will open, and we will attain absoluteness, that is Keval Gyan. So we can understand that this worship or this inner Purusharth, the way Dada has given us so simply, is just wonderful, and we can really understand it very well. Jai Satchidanand.
It is a very good, Deepakanandji, this was very good, enlightening. There's a question, but before we go to Surajbhai's question, you mentioned about Dada Bhagwan, and going through Dada Bhagwan. What is that Dada Bhagwan you're talking about?
Very good. Now, as we have been talking about Dada Bhagwan, uh, his worldly name was A.M. Patel. He was a businessman who hailed from Bhadran, a village from Anand district in Gujarat, and he was contractor by his profession, but he lived all his life through inner quest of knowing the truth, finding the truth, experiencing the truth, and his finality came in 1958 when he was 50 years old. That on a station, railway station of Surat, another station in Gujarat, that is called South Gujarat, and that's where this enlightenment came to him naturally. And he came to know how is the world running, what is karma, what is bondage, what is freedom, how can one free himself or herself from the bondage of karma and attain perfection and enjoy bliss in this mortal world. And that is why it is said that he, although he lived as a bodily individual, but inside he was totally separate individual as knowledge. So it is knowledge manifested in its fullest form, and because of his perseverance, he could explain every question that were posed to him, and we all got final answers and the right path to liberation.
So, but why, if he was A.M. Patel, Ambalal Patel, why Dada Bhagwan though?
Right. Now again, his worldly name was Dada Bhagwan. But the person who recognized him and who got the first enlightenment from him turned out to be his nephew's son. So, he turned out to be in relation, he was his grandfather. Dada in Gujarati language means grandfather. So, he was calling him that you are not just my Dada, but you are my God who enlightened me. Like how Lord Krishna enlightened Arjuna. So he said that you are not just in relation, yes, you are my Dada, but you are my Bhagwan. But now Bhagwan means which Bhagwan? So eventually it turned out to be like he started calling him as Dada Bhagwan. And that time Dada also said that the first Tirthankar Bhagwan of this half cycle of the 24 absolutes who come on this Bharat Kshetra where we all are living, he was the first one. He was also called Rushabdev Dada Bhagwan. And he said that the same Dada Bhagwan has opened within him. And that light of knowledge of Dada Bhagwan is showing all his mistakes. And with great generosity, he corrects all the mistakes which are shown by the inner Dada Bhagwan as and when they appear. And that's how he said, I am cleansing myself. I have reached 356 degrees of that perfection. 4 degrees I'm falling short. And somehow I didn't finish those 4 degrees. And that's how I became available to the world. And I'm sharing my experience, how one can become perfect, one can really progress in the path of liberation very easily, even if you are a householder. Doesn't matter whether you are a householder or a renunciator, but what is important is you must have that vision, that wisdom of knowledge. And if there were people, or who are wise, but they cannot bestow or they cannot impart that vision with which they are seeing or they are watching or they are experiencing themselves. So he has that great ability simply out of grace that he was able to open our vision, that is the third eye of Shiva.
Oh, very good. So, but I have also heard many people say that he always used to say that this body is M. Patel, but what is manifested inside is Dada Bhagwan, which is also in you, and you can also manifest and be Dada Bhagwan. Is that true?
Exactly, that's what he said, that it is not that only I am Dada Bhagwan. You, within you, that same divinity prevails, but you are not aware of that. And once you become aware of that and you start connecting yourself, you will also experience the same bliss, peace, and perfection, and rather freedom within your own body self while living in this worldly life in a householder surrounding.
Oh, very good. So, before Suresh, bhai, one more final question. You know, you talked about all the nine Matajis, a form of Matajis, and the ninth one you said was Siddhatri. So,
Siddhi Datri,
sorry,
that means the
Siddhidatri.
bestower of Siddhi.
Yeah, so, can we say that that state was also similar to Dada Bhagwan, A.M. Patel?
Yes, you can say that, but world doesn't like that. But we who have experienced that divinity in Dada Bhagwan and we were blessed by that same divinity and we are experiencing that same place almost. Yes, one thing is that we still have weaknesses we need to eradicate and we are working on it. But we are experiencing that. So we are fortunate that we were able to see the living form of Siddhidatri. But one thing is there, his name as Dada Bhagwan is not name, just mere name. He has lot of, it is called praise karma, just, yes, nam. I don't know how to put it in English, but it is Yash Nam. So Dada Bhagwan Yash Nam is so powerful, and he had said that the same word of Dada Bhagwan is going to be effective for the next half cycle, whole where again 24 Tirthankar Bhagwans will come on this pious land of Bharakshetra and guide people towards liberation. So we can always uh, pull the chain, pull the bell, ring the bell of Dada Bhagwan anytime you want, because he says it is not my property. This body is nature's gift. I just happen to be here and I have this enlightenment and I could not finish my journey. So I was available for you with that lapse of 4 degrees. You all got benefited. That's how. So, and he said that he is center of every religion as knowledge. And that knowing power, that knowing functionality exists in every living form, which is part and parcel of the pure soul with which we or every living being survives. So that divinity is there in every living form, but in human form, it opens and manifests in its fullest form, and that's how we get benefited. We should take advantage of that human life, what we have got, even body, what we have got, while living in this perishable, worldly surrounding.
Wonderful, wonderful. Good, very good knowledge. Now we go to questions. Suresh bhai?
Jai Sachidanand.
Is it Anand?
Very good. You give the connection with the Navratri, with Dada Bhagwan's thought, sir. So I appreciate. Actually, in my mind, there is Navratri in our, as per the Jain Hindu mythology, they are celebrating 2 times. One is the Chet month, and one is the this November, December.
Correct, correct.
So that is a one kind of Ram Navami, and here is the Dashera.
Correct.
So like that way. So all in means this Mahishasur, one of the Rakshas
Demon.
was there.
One of the demon.
Rakshas was there, which is very difficult, and he give it the destroying all the Muni Rakshas, ये सब लोगों का नाश करता था. So
Right.
for that, and all God, means including Shiva and Vishnu, they give the birth of the Ambe Ma and Ma Kalika for means this Mahishasur Rakshas purpose to means completely destroy all these things, whatever it may be happen, sir. So for that, this is the somebody was telling, as per the Hindu mythology, कि these 3-4 days the bite was there with the Mahishasur, and after that the end of there, sir. So this is the actually Hindu dharma. So actually Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Navratri, Navdurga, we are celebrating all these tyohars. So sometimes what happen actually, we having some mantra and all this thing, Tulsidas and Hanuman Chalisa, whatever it may be, if we are going to pray in the Kalyug, so our all this problem is slowly go on, like because Tulsidas ne some where he wrote कि मंगल भवन मंगल हारी हरऊ नाथ मम संकट भारी दीन दयाल बिरद संभारी हरऊ नाथ मम संकट भारी. तो लाइक दैट वे. और ये कवन तो काज कठिन जग माही, એવું કોઈ કાજ આ સંસારમાં નથી, કોઈ work is not there. We
What
can
is not
do
there? What is not there?
any type of work. કોઈ if I want to go the moksha, so I can go. कवन तो काज कठिन जग माही. As sansarma, in this world, there is not a possible thing is there. Everything is possible if you pray with faithful to any God.
Right.
Faithful you must be there. Actually, what happens sometimes, we are not doing faithfully, correctly with any other simple God. So for that purpose. So according to the Hindu mythology and Jain mythology, both are some different in the religions. But Hindu mythology have a correct way to go for the moksha. And in the Jain mythology, there are different panth was there. Digambar, Shwetambar, and Stanrakvadi and all these things. They always togetherly, they are having their own opinions, different opinion also. They are doing the puja, they are doing their procedures for the puja and all this thing. So sometimes what happen actually, the question comes in mind, either they will go to the moksha, either we will go to the moksha. So one question was there, it was there, sir, in my mind.
So see one thing.
Yes.
The core of every living existence is knowledge.
Knowledge.
Irrespective of what religion, what path you follow. Every religion is based on some ritualistic worship. There is nothing wrong in it. But when you teach, there is nothing wrong in it. Because if you are born in a Jain family, what are you going to do? You have no choice but to follow the Jainism. If you are born in a Hindu family, you are going to follow Hinduism, the path shown by the Hindu religion. If someone is born in a Muslim family, he will follow the path of the Islam. No path is wrong. Every
But
path,
somebody was telling that for the moksha, it is only for the Hindu dharma is a very good idea.
is true. You may say that, but
This is a Bharat
see,
Kshetra.
no. One thing we must understand that anyone, like every human, has mind. He has speech and he has body as basic functionality through which one can do some activity. Any path that uses mind, then it is called Mano Yoga. If they are using speech, then Vachan Yoga. And if they are using body, then it is called Deh Yoga. Mind, speech, and body, they are relative, they are temporary. So whatever you gain using them for your quest of reaching the center, it will take you to the highest level where it can take. Beyond that, it is said that you have to go walking. Sometimes, they say like that, till here you will be able to go by any vehicle, but after this, there will be other people who will take you further. We know that, right? Beyond that, no vehicle can go. So beyond that, mind, speech, body cannot be used for further progress. That is the level of perfection you must attain in your mind, speech, and body through this ritualistic worship. And where they all meet is the place or is the point where they come across an enlightened soul, a Gnani Purush, a self-enlightened person. And when someone come across him, then he gets this wisdom of knowledge. So whatever he earned through the harsh practices of mind, speech, and body, Mano Yoga, Vachan Yoga, and Deh Yoga, gets encased. Encased, you understand? Against those achievements, he gets the wisdom of knowledge. And then everyone walks together. Although everyone will talk of attaining that core, that knowledge only. So if you listen, everyone is seeking Brahma Gyan, knowledge of Brahman. And when you get that knowledge of Brahman, it is said you have reached finality. Nothing else remains to be known if you have known Brahman. And that Brahman is not outside. It is there residing within ourselves as pure soul, perpetual pure soul. But we cannot reach our own core unless we come across an enlightened person who has known, who has experienced, and who is living that principle of perfection 24/7.
So the perfection is in our hand.
Of course, it is in our hand in the sense, see, someone can become chemical engineer, perfect chemical engineer, becomes across the right institution. He can become a perfect doctor if he comes across the right institution.
But the
so
speech
living individual is the final institution of perfection, where when someone comes across that individual, then that divinity opens within you also. So all these paths, everything is right. But today that core, the science at the core is missing. So everybody is fighting, everybody is saying what I do, what we do is right, what you do is wrong. The other side, if you go and watch them, they say what others are doing is wrong, what we are doing is right. And anything, if you are doing, then that is part of the natural process that has nothing to do with knowledge. So it is said, knowledge of self, once if you have acquired, then you get freed from all doership aspect. So that's how you become free from every doing thing, every activity. And that activity is of the mind, of the speech, and the body. Basically, the other 5 aspects are there, but what 4 aspects are there, but we have to understand that. And when you get freed, then in this activity, what was happening out of ignorance, not knowing who you are, we were not perceiving this activity, but we were getting into it. And because we got into it, we got trapped. And out of ignorance, we end up projecting doership, that I will do this, I will do that. And that causes new karma, means that which is going to make you do certain thing in future because of your doership projection. You projected to do something out of ignorance in the presence of the very divine pure soul. And because you projected that doership, you have to get away from its clutches by doing it. And that is the reason we see people doing several things. It is not they who are doing, it is the karma which is making them do. But it is for our divine observation only, not to be parted with, because people can easily misuse this and it can create a lot of chaos in the society.
Thank you, sir.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand.
Very good. That was a very good question and very good explanation that, you have what you have, you to reach to the ultimate, and then you will then find a path forwards based on your achievement. So, did I say it right, Deepakanji?
Come again?
Did I say it right?
Right. Perfect. It is like the core is identical and same in every living existence. But we are not aware of that. So whatever we come across, we follow that. But there's nothing wrong in it. You follow whatever you have in hand, but have that goal, have the desire that I want to reach the center of perfection, which is common to all, which is one to all. And with that, I will become at par with all.
Wonderful, wonderful. Mahatma, okay, we have 15 minutes and we have another question. Okay, me.
Jai Satchidanand. Deepakanandji, I sent you a PDF of one of the buds that I wanted to ask a question from.
1 minute. Have you sent by your own name?
Yeah.
I'm not able to see. What is the pad about?
It's Dada ni vato suni.
Yeah. Okay, then okay, I got it.
Okay.
I got it. One minute. Okay, now I got it. So, 1 minute. Yeah. 1 minute. I don't understand why this is happening like this. Okay, what is it? You please tell me, because I'm not able to locate that. There's some problem with my browser.
Okay. So the line that I wanted to ask about is Dada ne dekhya vina gunala je gashe tene samkit bhav manti thashe. So I want to ask, like, how would that work? Like, can you just explain that line?
It's like when you sing the praises of the qualities of Dada Bhagwan, then gradually as you keep praising, you keep singing, it's not just singing, you are like totally into it.
Yeah.
So it is said like with that repetition, what is going to happen, anything that comes in your interaction, then that wisdom of understanding what you get from Dada's Gnan, Dada's understanding, it will help you and you will become like that. Like we get exposed to the world and the world views. And when we are continuously after Dada's understanding of life and living, then anything that happens in our life, we will always not compare, but we will always connect that happening and evaluate through Dada's wisdom. So that is going to elevate us to that level of understanding, where we will not follow the worldly view and get distracted. This is what Dada has said, and this is what the right understanding is, and that's final. So you don't get disturbed even in the worst of the situation of your life.
So when it says like samkit bhav manti thashe, can you explain that part?
So samkit means right vision. Samkit means samyak drishti. Samyak means balance, right. Drishti means vision, understanding. So right, you get right understanding.
Okay.
And bhavman means you will have conviction at the mind level, because we always get different opinions, different understanding, that we keep listening to others. But now that we have heard Dada Bhagwan in and out, and we are totally in his interaction, in his what do you say, whatever he has said. So that understanding has opened a conviction, and that conviction makes you feel or makes you experience that peace and happiness with that understanding. So right vision, right understanding. Vision relates to understanding.
Okay.
So when you have the right understanding from Dada Bhagwan, out of his experience of perfection, that's how, even in your worst life situation, that right understanding will not distract you. It will keep you steady, peaceful, and really balanced. Otherwise, it is very easy to blame others, and you will never blame. And all, like here, what he has said, you are wholly and solely responsible for yourself. You will never blame others for your success, even for your failure. Normally, people claim their doership, their wisdom when they succeed, and when they fail, they just dump it on others, which is not right. For good or for bad, you are only responsible, because there is no outside agency who can intervene or trespass into your life. So it is like if something has gone out from here, it will come back to here, come back. And this body is the gross body, which has become from gross to subtle When someone dies, the gross body remains here. The subtleness which the person has created out of ignorance goes further, becomes gross in the worldly sense. He lives that life, becomes subtle again. So that's how this body has traveled from generations. And now it is with you as meat, and with all the different thoughts and whatever that comes in your mind, it many times confuses you why I get such thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But with the right understanding, what you call as right vision, you will be able to fix all those distractions that pop up in your mind with the right understanding. So you
Yeah.
know, with that conviction, you will not get disturbed or distracted at all.
Mm-hmm.
What you will say, no, what Dada has said is correct.
Yeah.
That way.
Okay, Deepakanandji, you said right understanding and right vision. So can you give some examples that, like you alluded one, two, I think now you just talked to me about two of them, but can you elaborate more?
Okay, let's say like I got my exam results and I didn't get very good result. My grades were bad. Now it is very easy to blame the teachers, the institution, but I should be fair enough that if I did well in my exam, I am supposed to get good grades.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot blame the teacher, the institution that they didn't do their job correctly. I have committed some mistakes somewhere. So Dada has said, if you are suffering in any situation, it is your fault. Don't blame others. So that stops or ends up your going out in the world and blaming and creating more problems for you. When you know, and it is a fact that if you have done good, you are supposed to get good grades. It's not possible. Right? So the right vision, meaning the right understanding, will stop all your search quest outside, and you will come back to you and say, it's your result, whatever you have done, you have got the result of that.
Mm-hmm.
So don't blame others for your failure. You are only responsible for your failure because you are suffering.
Yeah.
Did that answer?
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of them, so we'll take future. If you have time, there's one question, but remind us next time to, ask the same question. What are the right understanding? Because there are so many people can do, adjust everywhere, avoid clashes. So there's so many that Aptputra can educate us. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Hemabe?
I speak in Gujarati. Deepakanand,
No problem.
thank you very much. You give a good 9 Navratri દિવસની સમજણ આપી. Excellent. જય સચ્ચિદાનંદ. મારે આટલું જ કહેવું હતું.
Okay.
અને મને તમે ઇંગ્લિશમાં કીધું, મને ફિટ થઈ ગયું.
Very good. Thank
જય
you.
સચ્ચિદાનંદ.
Okay, Deepakanandji. Okay, Deepakanandji, we have about 2-3 minutes. So can you elaborate some more understandings and visions?
More understanding on?
Right understanding and right vision.
See, it is, we must, for in any situation, if you are having the right understanding, the right vision, right vision means to evaluate or understand the situation in its right perspective. Like someone getting good grades or someone getting bad grades. Then if it is the good grade, then you praise yourself, you did well, very good. But if you don't get good grades, you say, go to the mirror and say, you haven't done well, you are fumbled. So don't blame others, improve. do hard work. That is what. So it's like you are whole and soul responsible for yourself proves over here. So all our, what do you say, effort goes towards ourselves only.
Okay, we have some questions. So this is never ending. But Meet, please remind me. We need to continue this. This is, right vision, right understanding.
Because about the right vision, Dada has given so many and small phrases with which we can use it in our day-to-day life, like adjust everywhere, avoid clashes, whatever happened is just like that. Suffer only that fault.
We will bring those out in different sessions.
Sure,
okay?
yes.
But let this question from Nimesh Bhai.
Yes.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand.
Now, my question is very simple and it's more personal. So hopefully people don't get upset. Very good satsang. I understand vision. My question is about if we know we have Gnan, but sometime our relative get too involved. So we circumstance come on and on and on. We know the vision, but we start getting, how I say, it gets, the relatives takes over, the arrogance or ignorance take over. How we can fight that ignorance and get the more, so that we go back to the right vision.
I got it. See, one thing, we see individuals as individuals, like, okay, Nimesh Bhai, Krishna Ben, Nishi, Krupa, Daddy, Mummy, and based on our relation, we have expectations from them, correct?
Yeah.
Same way, if we extend to our office surrounding, we have boss, we have subordinates, and we see them and we have expectations. We identify them as boss, we identify them as subordinates or at part, and we have expectations, correct? Now, those expectations are not wrong. But what is the fact? Whenever anything happens, what is that which motivates someone to do? And if that is understood, then you will not have any problem. In the sense, what Dada has said, you identify yourself as Nimesh, engineer, so and so, blah, 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 blah. With whatever position you identify and claim that position, claim that authority of that position, and you particularly have that ego of that position. And same way, your boss also have ego of his or her position. Same way, subordinate, same way, daddy, mummy, wife, children, they all have ego. So now you have to see from not the relation point of view, but see them as manifestation of ego only. You have your own ego, they have their own ego. Now, if you want to deal with them, how are you going to deal with them? Don't look, I am father, so you have to follow me, period, nothing else. That's not going to happen. Although the small one looks small, but she can have very high level of ego, correct? So you have to see from the ego point of view. And when you see that, then you will, and when you have to deal with situation, then you will not manipulate, but you will be easily, you will be able to adjust, manipulate your ego so that you're dealing with Nishi, with Krupa, with dad and mom, with Krishna, your boss, becomes amicable.
Yeah.
When we say, I want to handle amicably, really deals with this. And life is nothing but buying and selling of ego only. If someone is ready to sell his ego, you buy with any amount. You don't have to give any amount. Whatever you have to do, if you have learned to buy someone's ego, you are done. You will never have any problem. The whole problem is because of ego only. I am. What are you? You're not able to handle one person. Do you understand? But because we want to stick on to our own ego, which is not right.
Right.
You have your ego. We don't say no. So it's like if you are on a bike, how will you maneuver your bike in the traffic? Correct? It's a small vehicle. You can maneuver it easily. But if you are on what do you call that? Those big cars.
Yeah.
SMB or what is that?
SUV.
Yeah, SUV with huge body. You cannot maneuver that easily. So you have to understand your ego is like the bike or your ego is like that SUV.
Very good point. Yeah, I like that.
And the other person identify. Is he like the pickup truck of 40-wheeler truck? So don't mess around with him. You're going to hurt yourself. But if you give due respect to that 40-wheeler guy, he will give you the way. Go. Correct?
Yeah.
This is in crux, this is the only thing. But we still want to stick on to our ego. The other person wants to stick on to his or her ego. How are you going to handle? So if you want to go further, see that you don't mess around with anyone's ego. It is not manipulation. It is called handling ego. How you handle the traffic, the same way you have to handle ego of individual.
Yeah. Accepting, looking.
And don't put your...
No, I'm not the anti-Christian.
Uh-oh, we lost him.
Because
Okay.
I want to go through. It
Okay,
will be fun.
Nimesh
Let
bhai?
me tell you, if you succeed in this whole story, in this whole situation, you will come out with such a wonderful understanding, and you will be a great guide to the whole family, to the whole world.
So basically, I have to trade my SUV for a two-wheeler.
Yes,
Like.
identify.
Okay.
If yours is SUV, the other guy is the 40 feet, 18-wheeler vehicle, you better handle with care because he can crush you in no time.
Yeah. Okay.
So keep low, keep your head low.
Okay,
And also one final key: deal
Yes.
with heart, don't deal with head. Head will always clash. Heart never clashes. Heart accommodates. And that factor we must motivate. That factor we must support that.
okay.
And
Nimesh
at
bhai?
the same time, don't let your ego down. Go to the mirror and say, I'm there with you, don't worry. These are temporary aspects. We have to adjust if you want to get through.
Right. Jai
That's what.
Satchidanand.
Jai
Jai
Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand.
Okay, time is up. Gita bhai, is a quick one, or you want to come back in the Gita bhai? Unmute kar. Just unmute.
One small question. Deepakanandji, Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Shri Ram.
Here Dada says, God is in every creature, whether visible or invisible. This is true address of God. And all other address are illusion. Illusion meaning,
Illusion means it appears, but it is not there.
Hanji?
It appears, but it is not there. Illusion means no physical location.
No physical location. Ha. Okay.
Like it is a God is there up in the sky.
Hanji.
Where up in the sky? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Correct? That is
Hanji,
the thing.
Hanji. Good, good.
And why
No.
they say God is up in the sky? Because whenever God manifests, he manifests from the angels.
Indian. Mm-hmm.
His last life is in the angels. From angels comes as human as God.
Oh, Sarah.
But that is misunderstood as if God is up and he came from up. Truly he came from angel, so heaven,
Okay.
right?
Okay, very good. Our time is up. Deepakan, can you do three mantra?
Okay,
Gita
I
Ben,
like.
Gita Ben,
Hanji.
please follow.
Okay.
Namo Vitragai,
Namo Vitragai,
Namo Arihantanam,
Namo Arihantanam,
Namo Siddhanam,
Namo Siddhanam,
Namo Ayariyanam,
Namo Ayariyanam,
Namo Vajjayanam,
Namo Vajjayanam,
Namo Loe Savasahunam,
Namo Loe Sava Sahunam,
Eso Panchanamukaro,
Eso Panchanamukaro,
Savapavappanasano,
Savapavappanasano,
Mangalanam cha Savesim,
Manglanam cha Savvesim,
Padmam Havai Mangalam,
Padmam Havai Mangalam,
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevai,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
Om Namah Shivaya,
Om Namah Shivaya,
Jai Satchidanand,
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Satchidanand.